Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Land v. World, a podcast about Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and which is the Supreme Resort. Pause for sting. There we go. Each episode, we will discuss and explore each resort ride by ride, land by land, park by park. I almost became Chaz Cool Guy for a second. Mermaid by mermaid, manatee by manatee, to determine which is better.
He's so cool. Chaz.
He is the coolest. I'm Dan, and thank you for joining me on this quest to help the greater good of humanity answer this long, elusive question. Which is better, Disneyland or Walt Disney World? Joining me as always from Scraping the Vault, Jimmy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Supreme Resort, Scraping the Vault. Christmas episode just announced. Chipmunk Christmas special.
Yeah. And from the upcoming podcast, Bowie-splaining, Eric, who just got his 50th COVID shot.
Yay. Hey, I'm here. And just announced our Christmas episode, Chipmunks.
A 3-hour episode about Bowie and Bing Crosby singing Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, here we go.
I'd listen.
I don't know about that.
Are you serious? You don't know about that?
No, I don't know about that.
Oh, you're in for such a treat.
We're only
You
2
haven't
episodes
seen that,
in.
Eric? Are you kidding me?
Jimmy, you've known me forever, so like that's like wallpaper for you.
It's so famous.
Bing is great.
Yeah,
right?
it's so famous, Eric, that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly did a shot-by-shot 100% recreation of the video.
It is possibly the weirdest thing ever committed to
wonderful.
video. It's fantastic. I'm talking about the original.
I love it.
So
are there any puppets?
No, but we'll get there.
All right.
So
Do
we
you do a lot
are
of
in the
music in the Bowie household?
Let me mark down the time
Bowie
here.
house.
This is where listeners can skip 2.
Oh,
So we are in smack dab in the middle of the case of the underwater projections. That's right. You guessed it. Finding Nemo Submarine Encounter, the ride at Disneyland, and the seas with Nemo and Friends starring Nemo, the ride, the pavilion, presented by Wonder Bread. I have not changed that joke. And as Jimmy has said before, every episode is someone's first. So I need to point out that our previous episode was a Halloween episode where we do what we do. And so that was someone's first.
Oh, yeah.
This is someone's first.
I know it was a first for some people. I've promoted that so heavily.
And this is probably someone's first. And it's a continuation of
part
an episode a month ago.
Of an episode about a ride that just recreates a movie.
So I intentionally have in my notes, Opsy. Which is hilarious. Yeah, because I typed Opsy when I wanted to put Upsy.
That's ironic.
Okay.
Isn't, don't you think? So some basic things before we get into
It's
the
like
show.
fissures opening up in the earth when you marry the wrong person.
You know, that classic line. Like
Listen to Scraping the Vault, everybody. Brother Bear 2.
Yeah, like watching a movie with Dave Coulier. Anyway, so Christmas crap is in the parks. Maybe a short episode with Eric and I talking about that will happen, but don't hold us to it. The Adventureland tree is open as of this episode's release, I would imagine. Asher was going to call in live from there, but his parents won't let him use his phone service. It's on a shared plan. And we haven't got any comments, but I have a comment about the previous episode about this topic, which is the sound. Many people might have thought they heard the sound of a creaky chair throughout the episode before. I appreciate your concern. It was actually the door to our studio opening, and advertisers were dropping off money for us. So,
the bags.
The bags of money.
Okay.
With comical dollar signs written on them.
It wasn't because I'm bad at mixing audio.
No, I think it's because the program you use is bad at mixing audio.
Well, if you're for creaky chair sounds, listener. Oh, wait. No, it's not working out.
You can't even create a creaky chair sound if you tried. My goodness.
Hold on.
I have tried.
Those of you who are fans of chair sounds, here we go.
There it is.
Oh, I got to keep that in. Let me take a note.
It's like haunted.
Yeah, 20 minutes.
Oh. We started recording before listener. You haven't been listening for 20 minutes, despite what it might feel like.
Don't tell them.
Okay. All right, we're good.
They're the only ones.
Okay.
All right. So
All right, what's the score?
The score is currently in the previous
part 2.
episode, which is 2 episodes ago on the timeline, the official timeline, not the Marvel,
Not the branched timeline.
whatever that show is.
Loki.
Oh, that's right. Disneyland Submarine Voyage, starring Nemo and Friends, or whatever it's called, has 2 points. Again, if it's your first episode, I know what I'm saying. Okay, I just don't care half the time. And Epcot Disney World has 1 point.
I'm gonna make up that gap. All right, everybody.
So far, we have observed the overview of each attraction, and we've gone through the history of each attraction. Now we are going to explore the current version of the attraction, its land impact, and is that how we do the show? It's been a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Q, ride, land impact. That's what's left.
Q, right.
Yeah. Get ready. You're going down, Jimmy.
I believe you. Your switchbacks are much darker than mine.
And air conditioned.
That's true.
Oh.
All right,
Dan,
so is that Jimmy? Are you first, Jimmy, or is it
Yes.
Eric? Okay.
Because the submarine voyage at Disneyland came first.
Oh, we're going with that. Okay. All right.
Continue the saga.
Okay.
Impress me and impress our listeners.
Just to catch everybody up, this is the submarine voyage with Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage is the name of the ride.
But sorry, before you get started, listener, especially longtime listeners, we are considering breaking up these potentially bigger topics into 2 episodes, sort of like we've done here, with possibly not an entire month in between them. And send me. I don't want to check my email. Send Jason an email.
Jason will totally pass it on to us.
Or go on the Facebook group.
Facebook group, yes. Yeah.
The Supreme Resort Facebook group.
Supreme Resort group. Let us know. We genuinely want to know if you like this idea or not. We're just thinking it might actually make the content more informative. And
We peek on the curtain.
Our histories.
There's a lot of work that goes in, a lot of research, and it's fine. The research part, all of that takes the same amount of time. But when you try to sit in one session with kind of getting together, getting things organized, and 30, 40 minutes getting ready, and then 2.5 hours recording, it just gets very tedious. So,
well, and by the end of it, you're consolidating for the listener's patience and
exactly
even some of the best points. It's like, but okay, whatever, we're done anyway.
Exactly.
So,
and hey,
some thoughts
before we really get going here. Let's have a scientician spotlight.
Ooh.
Oh, we've got one ready for you, folks. Let me take the reins here. Welcome to the Scientician Spotlight. Fish! As far as scienticians know, there are more than 300 varieties, or as we like to call them, species of fish. Little Danny, don't you have questions about fish?
I cannot. Look, I know the discomfort that comes from you calling me that is well deserved based on a lifetime of being who I am, but I cannot express the amount of skin crawliness that comes every time you say that.
All right. Well, then
I do have a question though.
Maybe little Jimmy has a question for us. It's in the chat.
Oh, is it? How the
Supreme
to gills work?
2440. Okay, I'm writing it down this time.
It's in the chat.
I know. I'm just making sure I make notice of the.
Don't we get one per episode, like Guardians Galaxy Volume 3?
Man may never know how gills work. Perhaps fish scienticians will share their secrets. We're done. Oh, here's a drawing of a fish.
It's a fish. It's got
Little
a little
Danny,
snorkel,
please take a
got a little
picture of that
snorkel.
fish.
and then the bubbles are coming
Fish
out
don't
of the
need
snorkel.
That is
Snorkel.
going on the Instagram. All right.
Excellent.
Sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
Okay.
He just got his COVID shot.
There
20
is
25:32. All right. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so at the this is Finding Nemo again because it's been a while since I introduced this. Finding Nemo
It's been a month.
Submarine Voyage. I mean, like in this episode,
Oh, okay.
Finding Nemo Submarine Voyage. At the attraction's entrance, guests enter the Institute of Nautical Exploration and Marine Observation. For you keen-eared listeners, that spells Nemo. 3 seagulls perched on a nearby buoy cry out, "Mine, mine, mine," every few moments. Hank,
Who voices those
From-
seagulls? Oh, never
Lord.
mind. I'll talk about it later.
thank you. Hank from Finding Dory, the octopus played by Al Bundy.
Septipus.
He was added nearby, but he's not animated like the seagulls are. Guest board one of Nemo's 8 yellow research submarines and set out in search of an active underwater volcano. Nemo submarine names: the 107 Nautilus, 207 Scout, formerly Neptune, formerly Seawolf, 307 Voyager, formerly Sea Star, formerly Skate, 407 Mariner, formerly Explorer, formerly Skipjack, 507 Seafarer, formerly Seeker, formerly Triton, 607 Explorer, formerly Argonaut, formerly George Washington, 707 Neptune, formerly Triton, formerly Patrick Henry, and finally 807 Argonaut, formerly Seawolf, formerly Ethan Allen.
Your Honor,
Now-
can I ask at this time, what is your tolerance for this kind of list of nonsense?
Honestly, I just ignored it at this point.
Okay, great. You're not alone.
You're in for it.
Wheelchair-bound guests, or those who can't get down the spiral staircase in the sub, can view the experience from a special topside viewing room in the queue. Seats about 6 able-bodied persons plus 2 wheelchairs. With the exception of one small animated effect, the visual is identical, perhaps faster, but despite a large monitor, the creatures appear smaller than when viewing them through a real porthole. The wait for the alternate viewing area is usually brief. Ask a cast member how to bypass the standby line, and there are Mickeys hidden in the dive lockers inside. Isn't that fun?
Oh,
Yeah. So it's
That was
basically
my statement on
switchbacks outside. And yeah, everyone can experience this in one form or another because those ride vehicles are very tight and you have to be able to walk down very tight spiral stairs.
So is it just like a video of the
Yeah,
ride?
basically.
Okay.
The same is true for like the walkthrough for Sleeping Beauty's castle. There's a room where you can watch it walk through.
are you
If you can't
talking
get
about
up
the
the stairs.
ride when we should be talking about the queue?
I'm talking about the queue, Eric. In the queue, you can watch the ride. The end.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do they play any Bobby Darin music in the queue?
At the end of the ride, they do
Okay.
play.
You were
Absolutely.
there for that moment.
Absolutely.
Beyond the Sea.
Okay.
But only Kevin Spacey's cover.
That's
of
right.
it.
Only Kevin Spacey's version. You cannot listen to that.
He's the captain. He's the captain of every submarine.
Yep.
Yeah. As a friend of mine said, and Eric, I believe you were there for this, but you might have not zeroed in on it as much as I did. And this is a real quote, and I've since shared this with her and my irritation about it. If you like Bobby Darin, you'll love this ride.
Oh.
That is an
Oh.
actual observation. I'm not going to say this person's name.
It's
She knows who she
50-50
is.
which of the two people
you
this
can
is.
put it together.
I'm pretty sure I know which one.
Oh, you do.
If you love Bobby Darin.
Yep. One of the
Okay.
dumbest things I've ever heard. Anyway,
Sorry, whoever you are.
I told her that.
We find this delightful.
Yeah. Oh, she does too. It's fine. Right. So, Eric, tell me about your queue, and do I get to watch a video footage of Finding Nemo's Submarine Voyage in a room at your attraction?
Well, no, you don't get to watch the entire ride in a room in the attraction because you can go past it if you do not want to get onto your Clamobile.
Yeah.
Which many people can. You
can so you can still bypass it.
You could still bypass, yes. You can still head into the attraction by another route. The queue starts out with...
Let's be clear for the listener, Eric. You can't bypass the attraction. No, sorry. You can't get onto the attraction by bypassing. You get into the seas by bypassing the attraction.
You can get into the seas by bypassing the attraction, yes.
There you go.
And you can you see aspects of the ride? I watched a ride through last night, but I didn't.
You can just see the load area, I think.
I have not found any evidence that there is a watch through of this mediocre attraction we're spending so much time on.
I didn't think that I would go there, but I think that has to be a point for subs.
Oh no. Uh-oh. 3-1. Okay. Well, yeah. You can bypass it. You can head through a different tunnel, and you can either get onto the attraction because it's an Omnimover, and many people can get onto an Omnimover if properly motivated with...
We're talking about the queue. What's in the queue?
Oh, yes, the queue. The queue. Oh, gosh, the queue. Well, once you enter the queue, there are water effects projected onto the walls, so it looks like you're underwater at points. The switchbacks look like aged wood.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. And there are portions where you can see coral with projections of your favorite friends from the Finding Nemo series. It's not a series. They're only 2
projections.
They're on screens. They're not projections. There is also at the end. I know it's at the beginning. Sorry, I'm getting things mixed up in my head here. There's a beach area. So there's a lifeguard station that has signs. One of the signs says, "Please stay off the lifeguard station." There are beach rentals. This is Station 5A. And there is a sign that reads the surf conditions that has an arrow that points between mild, choppy, and just swell.
Okay. I have ideas. Jimmy, I'm curious.
We're not done with the queue, by the way.
I know, but I have questions. Do you want to put the seagulls saying "mine, mine, mine" and Ted Bundy, Al Bundy,
Ted Bundy?
Whoopsie!
Different Bundy.
That was a real one.
This is Dark Rides.
Oh boy!
Do you want to have those
about theme parks?
Do you want to say that those are part of the queue, or do you want that to be land impact?
Interesting.
Same for this one.
I read about it as part of the queue because you can't see it from the ride.
I can tell you from what I'm gleaming currently, you both have very strong land impacts for different reasons.
Good point. I'm going to go ahead and withdraw the statement from the queue and add it to the land impact.
Okay. In that case, I give the C's queue all so far.
He hasn't even brought up the seagulls. They're not even part of the queue at this point.
Wooden switchbacks.
Okay.
They got.
So he is not presenting
lifeguard stand.
We can here.
Here's what I'm hearing so far.
Before you enter the land
versus lack of effort.
Before you
wait, Eric.
Enter the land of the seas.
Is that the queue? And by the way, they're gone.
Temporarily, they're being refurbished. There are loose wires sticking out of the ground with plastic over them.
But we're talking about the seagulls?
The seagulls. Yeah. Currently, they have been removed and they're being refurbished. But come on, they're coming back. That's
fine, but you got wooden switchbacks, you got like screens, you got lifeguard stand, you got a beach setting, you got sand versus under the monorail.
That's fair. You got a clever wit about just swell for the waves.
Swell.
I mean, if you're trying to argue against the point, that is certainly helping. No, I mean, I really do. It's effort versus lack of effort. That's worth at least a point. But Eric, keep going, and let's see if we can get more than 1 point out of it.
Well, let's see here. I mean, it's indoors. The entire queue is indoors. You do, yes. If we're gonna talk about the Andrew Stanton performed seagulls outside, yes, you do pass beyond a very nice thing, but yeah, we'll save that for Land Impact. Inside, it's pleasant, it's dark, it's cold. You do pass multiple displays, and at the end, when you pass the beach area, you've got rocky walls, you've got projected water effects on the walls, you've got coral around the area. You do have these coral reef sort of effects that make it seem like you're descending into the water before you board your Clamobile. The queue. Oh, and before you board, one of these signs reads, daily diving departures sponsored by Nemo, Nautical Exploration and Marine Observation. So
they stole my name.
Same name. This one came out before yours.
I think we're going to go 2 points for that. Ooh. Not for that specifically, but for the queue. Because it's not... This is one of those situations where it's like, I'm not even talking, like, I'm talking absolute lack of effort on Disneyland.
Right.
It's just an outdoor straight up. It's just, here's the ride. It's like, the current Autopia has more thought put into it.
Yeah, good point. I was going to say something about it's not California's fault because of better weather, but you're right, the effort wise. The other thing, you gave a point for the being able to watch the ride through if you're disabled. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that is negated by the fact that anyone can ride the Epcot one.
It takes a little bit of effort to get out of an electric vehicle or a wheelchair into a Clamobile, but it can happen.
I don't know. I think the point is really more about. Well, I didn't mean to do this, but it's about effort, lack of effort. It's like, yeah, they could shut down the entire ride and like. Not shut it down, but they can slow it down, and you can do the transfer thing, and that's totally fine. And anybody that wants to absolutely should. Whereas at Disneyland, you could just go, oh, that room's for me? Cool. I'm going to go in there.
Yeah. All right.
Your attention, please.
Shall we talk about the ride itself?
I would love nothing more.
Okay. Let's do it.
So once on board, through their portholes, guests view a colorful underwater environment. One of the first things the guests see is Darla, the niece of dentist P. Sherman. Well, P. Sherman, 27 Wallaby Way. Anyway, she's freediving amid the coral, holding a plastic bag with a fish that she's captured. We all remember that. As the journey continues, guests see a giant sea bass swimming through a seaweed forest. The submarines then enter the ruins of an ancient civilization, which are being explored by P. Sherman, who is scuba diving. Among the ruins lies a gigantic tiki head embedded in the ocean floor. The subs then enter a coral reef with many bright reflective colors. Giant clams slowly open and close as the submarines pass. The captain commands the sub to dive much deeper to avoid a surface storm ahead. Now, it's important to note that most of the dialogue in this version, which I guess is on Australia, Tomorrowland, Australia, a lot of the dialogue that, just like, however many degrees forward, that kind of stuff is all kind of borrowed from the original attraction. At this point, the submarine travels through a waterfall and enters the hidden ride building, where guests find themselves apparently moving through underwater caverns. The captain announces that, due to advancements in marine technology, much like the original attraction, they can use sonar hydrophones to hear the fish talk. This is where we get effectively a book report from the original movie. The sub passes through a dark cavern where huge eels lunge toward it, and lobsters can also be seen. The sub passes a marlin, a clownfish, and Dory, a blue tang, as they discover that Nemo has gotten lost again.
Oh, no, not again.
I wonder if they're going to go through the same adventures they did the first time.
Huh.
Well, that's how you find Nemo. Is
That's right.
You just do
That's
all the same
only
stuff.
way. Farther along the reef, guests encounter Mr. Ray, a stingray, and his class swimming through the coral looking for Nemo as well.
Hold on,
The
I'm
first
sorry.
mate-
Do they? Is this actually presented as he's missing again?
Yeah,
Oh God!
it's the same as
Oh, yeah.
Eric's ride. It's the
Yeah,
same thing.
Marlin literally says, "Oh no, he's lost again."
Again.
Can I
the
just
first
on
mate-
principle take away?
by
I'm
the way,
gonna-
It
same
happens in both.
exact thing.
I know,
Same-
I know.
Same exact
But
thing.
I need my spite to be recognized
Okay.
by
All
this.
right.
So I'm going to give each of you a point for punishment for the other one.
What?
I'll
There we go.
I'll reverse those points in post. Maybe.
The first mate announces that the sub is approaching the East Australian Current, and the submarine enters the current along with Nemo, Squirt, Crush, and other green sea turtles. It's a fun effect in the ride. It's kind of nice. The sub then exits the current and enters a graveyard of sunken ships. Jacques, a cleaner shrimp, and Blenny, a worried greenfish, can both be seen nearby, while Marlin and Dory continue their search for Nemo. Bruce, a great white shark, and Chum, a short-fin mako shark, swim inside a sunken submarine surrounded by mines. The submarine hits one of the mines, causing all the mines to explode and the sub to shake and temporarily lose power. As the sub goes dark, Marlin and Dory are surrounded by small glowing lights, which turn out to be phosphorescent lights on several huge deep-sea anglerfish. After they escape the creatures, they make their way through the forest of jellyfish. The submarine reaches the active deep-sea volcano. Gill, a Moorish idol. Bloat, a pufferfish. Gurgle, a royal grandma. Bubbles, and not grandma, by the way. Bubbles, a yellow tang. And Squirt chant as lava flows down the volcano's sides. While Marlin and Dory finally reunite with Nemo. Hooray!
And
the
to
volcano
to
erupts.
their credit, that scene takes place in the
Fish tank.
fish tank. So they
That's
did
right.
make some changes.
Wanahakalugi. The volcano erupts just as the sub escapes and returns to the reef. The fish gather around and celebrate finding Nemo once again. Suddenly, a pod of humpback whales appears, and one of them swallows both Dory and the submarine, which I thought was kind of a fun little effect, reminiscent of the Storybook Land canal boats. Dory swims about trying to understand the whale's vocalizations. After a few moments, the whale shoots the submarine and Dory out through its blowhole, which is kind of fun. You're coming out of the show building, and so it gets lighter. Dory,
That gets a point. That's a
agree.
clever moment.
Dory then mistakes the sub for a big yellow whale and speaks whale saying goodbye. The captain tells the first mate not to enter anything that has happened into the ship's log because nobody would believe it anyway. He then says they should bring the sub up to the surface before we have a run-in with a sea serpent or an encounter with a mermaid. Fun nod to the original attraction, and if you look in the ride's rock formations, you will find one is shaped like a sea serpent's head and the other shaped like a mermaid. It's in the rock work.
I know you're waiting for a point.
I'm just saying. The sub then surfaces and re-enters the harbor, where a pair of king crabs snap at air bubbles coming from sewage pipe. An instrumental version of Kevin Spacey's Beyond the Sea plays as the submarine docks and the captain thanks the passengers for riding.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere beyond the sea.
Here's just a fascinating feeling that I have. I know you described the entire thing.
Right.
It feels so much longer.
There's a lot of, I described all the scenes, but there's a lot of slow moving in between things. Like I read through the P. Sherman and the little girl with the fish. That's like 5 minutes of the ride to get from one vignette to the other. It's slow. Yeah. It's about 11 minutes.
That first part is, I have to say, it is lovely, especially at night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In fact, you didn't. Okay, Jimmy, say something about how it looks different at night.
It looks different at night.
There we go. That's a point. Don't worry, Eric.
So before, I don't want to spoiler it, but I guess I can wait for it. But effectively, Eric's version of the ride is exactly what I just said,
but it's presented in a very, very different way.
Exactly.
And you mentioned caverns, and I didn't. So the elephant in the room for me with this specific ride is, and I told you this in the chat, I think it's way too long, but they can't really control the speed of it. But they can choose what they show you, right?
Mm-hmm, true.
And a lot of the projection effects are so close to you that by like minute 2, it's like, oh, that part's not water anymore. Or that part's that, or that. Like, and I understand that there are some parts, especially at the beginning, where like the caverns are a transitional thing. But as you were talking about it, I was just thinking the whole time about how like there's so much stuff that is so close to you
mm-hmm.
that it kind of ruins the effect really early on.
So you're saying just by having your face close to the glass?
Yeah. And I think that if they would have moved, like, for example, the shark scene, if they would have moved all of those things like 3 feet away from you. What do you
mean it's not water anymore? Like, you mean the screens aren't water?
There's a point where I feel
you're
like
underwater
you're not
the whole
underwater.
Time. Yeah, you're underwater the whole time.
But not all the scenes are underwater, from what I can tell.
The submarine is submerged in the same level of water the entire ride.
Are all of the show scenes also underwater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it.
Well, you think there are fish swimming around in the air?
Yeah. No. I could be wrong. I've never figured out how this ride works and where the water is or isn't.
The water level is always exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at these projection screens through water. Now, how the projection screens submerged underwater? I don't know.
I don't think they are.
They may not be, but that means there's a plate of glass that's holding in the water from the lagoon.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
It may be. I don't know. And I did a bunch of searches about how they do the projection. I have no idea. And what I feel is more impressive is the projections on the actual aquarium in Epcot. Mm-hmm. That is just mind-boggling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Short of just screens.
Right. Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that like this ride, and if you can come up with some sort of argument for or against or why it's not a problem, this ride, you're in a submarine and you're going through such tight spaces. And I understand, what do you call when you just,
forced perspective? What are you going for here?
No, suspension of disbelief.
Okay.
I understand that suspension of disbelief is necessary, but you're so. I feel like things are too close, and I know that they have the room to push them at least like a few feet further in some cases.
I think, Dan, you don't have enough experience with the Florida version to make that argument.
Maybe.
Because the only difference for me, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, the only difference between these two rides, short of some different like scenery and whatever, is the fact that you're physically underwater in one and you're never underwater in the other. But otherwise, it's the same exact ride.
It's very similar. There are some differences.
Well, obviously there are differences. You're not seeing mermaid rocks and you're not going into a whale's mouth, that kind of thing. There are differences, but the fundamental core of the ride is redoing the movie.
The gimmick of the projection onto a thing.
Right. And you're just as close as you are. Sorry, Eric. You're just as close to those projection screens in Epcot as you are in Disneyland.
But my point is, it looks different. And I'm not like I'm not a physicist or whatever those people are called. I'm not like, I'm just saying that I'm just saying that like in my experience riding the thing, it looks just off. The dimensions feel off. That's not a negative point necessarily. It's just a thing to think about or a thing to talk about since we're talking about the ride. But I also think that I get what you're saying about the actual show elements are essentially the same,
right?
But they're
story
presented,
beats are the same.
But they're presented in a very different way, and I'm not going to go into what's better or worse. But I think that the one at the land, first of all, it's not like a 2-minute load process. Sorry, C's. I might do that a lot, not on purpose.
Perhaps we could go in that direction.
You know what? That's a wonderful idea. Eric, tell me about what I'm arguing for. Tell me what I'm going to say. Tell me what I should have, the version of what I was going to say that is most favorable to your side.
All right, great. Well, you reach the end of the queue and you board your Clamobile. The Clamobiles are a
ugly.
clam-shaped...
I have to say, they are ugly. Sorry.
Okay. It's
not a negative point. I'm just saying.
It's not quite the same as a doom buggy or anything where it kind of turns. It turns to face you and the door opens in the middle. So you walk in with your other person. And you sit down, and then the door closes in the middle. So it's not quite the I'll close the bar for you. It's a clamshell with a smaller clamshell in front of it. I don't know.
I think the thing that strikes me as weird about it when I was watching the video was, and I've been on it before. It's just been a while. Was that, you have, I think one of the things that is a real draw about this attraction is it feels they make more of an effort, I think, for placemaking, like with the queue. And they're also dealing with the fact that you are about to see a bunch of real fishies.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's kind of an extra layer of like, we kind of have to take this a little bit more seriously because it's Epcot. And then having the little cartoony clamshell is just like, that's a weird choice.
Yeah. Is it point worthy that one of these is pretty much a submarine and the other is an omnimover? Is that enough of a thing for you? I don't want to promote the other attraction, but I've always loved the feeling of going in one of those subs.
I think we got there previously when it was about the submarines are themselves more impressive in that they exist.
Okay. All right. Well, board your Clamobile and join all of your friends who many of whom sound just a little different than they used to. You pass realistic looking coral displays with screens. So you start out, Mr. Ray and the kids, the school, realize that Nemo is heading out to sea. The kids are saying, oh no, Nemo is heading out to sea. And they're swimming around, and then they realize, oh no, Nemo is lost again. Marlin is Oh my goodness.
Oh no. Oh no. I
He's
just
not
realized
lurching.
something.
He's searching. Oh no, what?
I just realized something.
Mhm.
Nemo is going out to sea,
Mm-hmm.
which gives us a reason to go where we're going, which is the sea.
Except that we find him before we get there.
But
He does
do we
go
really-
all the
we
way
find-
to.
do they
he
find
does
him
the
before we
EAC.
get there?
Yeah.
He does the EAC in both versions, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And goes all the way to Australia.
I'm just saying that in terms of like having it be narrative, Nemo is going out to the sea. We have to follow him and find him. And that's what gets us to the sea.
I think it's a stretch. Eric, I'm not trying to argue
I
against
would
you.
not have made that argument. No, I don't think that's. I don't think
It's a
that's
stretch.
I mean, I think in terms of like, I'm not stretching to make this point at all. I think that just works for me, where it's like, oh, he went off to sea, where the other one is just like, oh, Nemo, help us have an overlay for this old dead ride. Like it makes it in that context. I mean, full disclosure, I don't think either of these need, I find them whimsical. They're kind of cute. I don't hate that they exist, but if they had never existed, I wouldn't have asked for them.
But Dan, to your point
Yeah.
is they're both just cute overlays for a dead attraction.
Pretty much.
But-
And
yeah.
But chasing after Nemo into the sea gives us a reason to get on the ride.
But we're already on the ride.
Narratively, we have a thing to do.
we get on the ride, Dan, and then Nemo runs away
Yeah, 'cause
Right.
He doesn't like us.
in both cases. So there's no reason for us to get on the ride.
Yeah, but on the submarines, it's like
We're
okay,
both
now we're
arguing
back.
why this is less important for us.
I think it's damn clever because like we're going out to the sea. Now we're in the sea, like the pavilion, the sea. We're in the sea now because Nemo got lost and took us there because we had to find him. And in finding him, we went to the sea with Nemo and his friends, some might say. Where with the submarine, it's like, Jimmy, you're muted. With the submarine, it's like, I'm going to get on the submarine. Okay, I'm going to watch this thing. And now we're back. Okay, now they found Nemo. Bye, friends. Now I'm just back where I was.
I guess they don't necessarily come back in the narrative of the ride.
Well, let me set okay. So in the submarine,
Mhm.
the conceit is you are going to get on a submarine to go explore an underwater volcano.
Right.
Along the way, you see some of the friends from the movie. You have sonar hydrophones so you can hear what the fish are saying,
Yeah.
and you have the same experience that
Right.
the Epcot one has, right?
Right.
And then, all this crazy stuff, you get swallowed by a whale. Let's go back, okay?
Yeah.
So
all this
that's-
wacky stuff happens to you
Right.
while you're doing this other thing. This one, you are going to find Nemo. Like that's the whole reason you're there.
I don't think that's true, Eric. Is it? Is there a conceit for Epcot?
No, and it's not like the old days where you were specifically going to Seabase Alpha,
Right.
which is now just called Seabase. I don't know. You're not really boarding these vessels for a specific purpose. You're seeing a little bit in the queue that says, "Hey, here are your friends. They're fish, and we're underwater, and we're gonna go to a place. Maybe I don't know."
I mean, if I'm reading too much, if I'm off, Eric, it's your point to. It's only going to be one point anyway. But it's like if you think I'm off base, if I'm reading something into this, and all the listeners are like, "Oh God, he's doing it again," I will take ownership of that. I can be that person. I legitimately see something in that, but if I'm wrong, I'll accept being wrong.
Well,
I don't think
like
there's
with
that
any of
much
this-
intention for sure.
Agreed. I think that's
Yeah.
the point. If you land there, that's fine, and I'm not going to argue against it. But I don't think there's a story in Epcot like there is a little bit in California.
I think I'm still gonna give it a point for being, at the very least, a convenient coincidence.
You're
Because it's not there. I just don't know how much intent is there.
Yeah.
The deluge.
Have we talked about the sounds? I mean, it's been a few episodes.
You can listen to the old episodes.
Okay, great. Good. Go do that. All right. Well, yeah. So Nemo is lost again. Marlin is searching for Nemo with Dory, who actually sees Nemo swimming around. They are projections on a wall. And you go around a corner and an anglerfish pops out of the dark and scares the fish and you. As Marlin swims away from the anglerfish, each figure is on a separate robotic arm. So they they're practical effects that exist
physical movement
in the air because you're not underwater in this attraction. Let's see. Continue into darkness where you find a submarine wreck in a minefield, very similar to the other one. Nemo is hiding, and the two sharks, Chum and Bruce, are trying to get him to come out. They say some of their classic lines like, "Fish are friends, not food. Swim over here."
And isn't one an animatronic? Am I remembering correctly?
I was going to say the same thing. I think there's a physical Chum, I want to say.
I think it's Chum.
Physical set piece
yeah. It's one of them.
Sticking out of a porthole.
Right. Yeah, so there's a lot of practical effects, and at this portion of the ride, if you remember from the previous episode, this is where the ride is going. The Omni Mover is going through one of the two pre-show theaters. So part of this attraction is built into this area where you're not in the aquarium. So you leave the aquarium, you go back into the aquarium. Some of the portions of this ride where you're heading through, you're in basically the aquarium the original aquarium tunnels that were part of the original attraction, but they're all basically boarded up and projected on. So you can't see into the aquarium for most of it. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
My memory is that, and this is my memory of the video that I watched. I didn't check the date. I should have. Is that you start to see underwater projections pretty early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you kind of leave that area.
Okay.
Yeah. And you head into practical effects that make you feel like you're underwater, but you're not.
Okay. I really like that angler thing. I'm going to hold the point. I'm holding on to that point.
Okay. Yeah, the angler is a nice feature, and the only real reason that I found is
the anglerfish is in both,
right?
And it's a practical effect in both.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't like move around like a scary monster.
No, it does not. It's stationary
something.
and it flashes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only reason I have found that when it comes to the sharks, there aren't three is because the third shark wasn't available to record at the time they were doing this. And don't worry, we'll get to the voice cast soon. if you like lists, I've got lists. Let's see. And then you head through the East Australian Current, which is projected on the walls with bubbles, and Crush and Squirt and Nemo are swimming through. Crush and Squirt and Marlin, not Nemo. Then
this effect is very reminiscent of the Tron. What is the? Oh, I'm trying to remember.
The people mover, the speed tunnel.
Yeah, the speed tunnel. Yeah.
Very, and I concede that the effect on Epcot's version of the AAC is more impactful because it's all screen projection in both, but they have that spinning effect, and you're in the middle of that spinning effect. You actually feel that a little bit.
It does it gives an impression of speed for sure.
Jimmy, you had me at Tron Speed Tunnel, so I'm going to award some random points here. 1 point to the C for the Tron thing. And if I can give a point to subs for the whale thing, no.
I think
okay, here's where I'm stuck. I love the angler the animatronic angler thing, and I feel like if I had seen that as a child, it would have terrified me.
It's pretty big.
And I don't know if that isn't true for the angler scene on the subs. But my hunch is that specifically for my child brain, I would have identified that angler thing as terrifying and identified that there's a mechanical thing behind it and immediately gotten more terrified by the mechanical thing attached to it.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think it's fair to give that a point. I really want to, but I don't think it's fair to do that.
Okay.
I think that, and the subs at Disneyland get a point for real bubbles instead of the fake projected bubbles.
Ooh.
'Cause real bubbles are cool.
Real bubbles are pretty cool.
It's like
I do
underwater
like
smoke.
that effect. I always loved that when you would move into the building and you were quote diving and it would get darker. I love that effect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm good with all that.
Okay. My dogs are going insane
Eric's
right
dogs
now.
agree.
Yeah.
They're going to start barking jingle bells.
Are they going to start a podcast?
Yes. We're going to have a new podcast. It's called Dogs Barking. It'll be on the Ears Up Network 2024. A weekly podcast where dogs bark. You'll love
Is Jason
it.
that desperate for content at this point? Why don't you just give me some dogs barking?
There we go. All right.
I'm surprised he hasn't given Asher a show yet.
I mean, he's just so real and cool.
They're related.
You're right. He's his nephew. He gave a show to his other nephew, right?
Oh, that's right. That
stopped
means
that one.
Asher is the less favorite nephew. I never even thought about that.
That's unfortunate. All right, let's continue. Let's see. So suddenly you're next to a giant aquarium window. Nemo and his friends are projected onto the glass to look like they are swimming with real fish. And they are singing In the Big Blue World, which is a song. Jimmy's going to say it was written for the Finding Nemo the musical at Disney's Animal Kingdom, which started previews on November 5th, 2006, and opened on January 24th, 2007, which was after this ride debuted. So this is a song written for a musical that had not yet debuted, and they premiered it basically on this ride.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to point out. I love the continuity between the in the resort with this Finding Nemo musical, which I love. It's my dolphin show. Tears every time. It's Bobby and Kristen Lopez, Tony Award winning composers. And loyal listeners to the show will remember the original Nemo was a guest on this show from that musical.
You should listen to that episode because surprisingly no one has.
Yeah, and it was really good. And
what episode was that? Let me find out.
It was the case of the...
Because it was Frozen
Gate
versus Nemo. Yeah.
Frozen versus Nemo is the Second Gate theme park stage shows that Bobby and Kristen Lopez wrote.
Right.
Something like that.
It's a very elaborate title.
But the two things that I'll say about this. Now, first of all, I know we're not done, but I believe the submarines execute this story better. You're underwater the whole time. There's an execution. There's a continuity. There's a story. The projection of these animated figures inside of the aquarium is like magic to me. And the fact that they brought that song into the attraction, which is a wonderful song from a wonderful musical, those two things alone are outstanding, despite the fact that I feel like Submarine Voyage executes the story better.
You've basically made my point. The whole thing behind seeing these animated fish swim around with actual fish is really interesting. And it's not bad in the subs to see the fish swimming around. You've got your head in your little porthole, and it's nice, but it's not quite as amazing looking as looking across, like 5 feet away from you. There is a giant aquarium, one of the world's largest aquariums, with
Sixth largest in the world. There
you go. With actual fish swimming around, and then you've got these animated fish that are your friends swimming in it. It's pretty fantastic, and as you depart, you get to hear them singing the song in a loop, and you get to hear Alice and Janney as the starfish commenting on things. It's
Hasn't
pretty
she kind of lost it, like the character?
What's that?
Hasn't the character like kind of lost it?
It's kind of crazy. She breaks the fourth wall at one point, Eric.
Yeah.
Like for the amount of time it takes for each ride vehicle group to pass.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 17 seconds or something. I forget what it is, but it's very funny.
So I don't
she
think
talks directly to you.
I don't think that necessarily is point worthy. And I love that they have an original song, and I like that the song itself gives you a sense of arrival.
Mm-hmm.
Which again goes back to my other thing, but whatever. And however, it goes on that the loop on that is far too long. But those two things combined, 1 point
for me, right?
For you.
The deluge.
Would you like to hear an exhaustive list of all of the voice actors?
Yes, please.
Hold on. Did you talk about Sorry, the language part of my brain is the first to go.
You disembark at the sea base, and you're inside the sea base, and that's apparently another episode that we're going to do someday, maybe?
Yes. Because of Turtle
Call
Talk.
Me baby.
Because of Turtle Talk.
Jellyfish. Are there not jellyfish above you?
Oh, yes. That is in one of the physical scenes that's inside the theater. I did neglect to mention them. They are hanging above you. They're neon and in black light. Yeah. It's one of those things that makes you feel a little bit like you're actually under the sea.
I think that is where I'm coming to with this is that I think I'm drawn to the sea a little bit more, at least for now, because it feels more like an actual ride, kind of. I don't know. I mean, you're right, Jimmy. The subs do tell the story better, but I don't know that the story needs to be a theme park ride at all.
Well, but that's true for both. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I don't think that the subs tell the Nemo story better. I think the Nemo story happens within a story of you going to explore an underwater volcano.
Right.
That's the whole point of this.
The subs,
and
the whole
Nemo
point of
thing
the subs
unfolds.
is you're in a sub and you're going to do a weird new version of the original subs.
Yes. You're going to an underwater volcano, and along the way, when you listen to your sonar hydrophones, you come across these scenes that happen within a story.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that's better or worse. I just wanted to clarify.
No, you're
point.
right. I get what you're saying. I keep coming back to this idea of that, like the subs, and I don't know if I'm going to explain this well, but it feels like the subs kind of are they tell the story better, but they're also kind of burdened by being like being a reason to still exist. Therefore, that reason to still exist is to have the story shoehorned in. Whereas with the seas, it's like, okay, here's a thing we can do and a thing that already exists to make it, to really showcase what we can do and just kind of have fun with it. I don't know if I'm entirely there yet, but it just
listen. You're the judge. They're both shoehorned,
and yeah, well, I mean,
they're both shoehorned. But I think with the seas, the shoehorn is because, well, first of all, the load time isn't like 15 minutes, and also,
fair.
And the ride itself is shorter. It feels
about 4 minutes.
like, yeah. It's I'm more willing to accept that shoehorn as like, okay, this is actually kind of fun. Where every time I ride the subs at about the jellyfish scene, I'm like, oh God, there's more. Okay. You know? That's just kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know that that's a decision.
I'll give you that. It takes 11 minutes to get around the loop. The capacity is 900 people per hour.
Yeah.
Which is very low.
Pretty poor.
And
It takes forever.
And that brings up another problem that I have with this. I love that the subs are still there. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah,
But-
love the subs.
But should they really still be there in a park where space is at such a premium?
Hey,
And I
they
don't
still
think the
got the
line-
Autopia right next door. I mean,
Well, yeah, exactly.
On top of.
And I think that might be a big part of it. And we'll get to that part later.
also if they changed the subs, the Matterhorn would fall into the sea.
100%.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah. Collapse.
And like, I suspect that the reason why the line for the subs is always pretty long is not because it's super popular. I think it just takes that
It's
long
the
to load.
capacity. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, just some thoughts, some things to throw back at me or whatever. That's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think we're kind of in the middle of a thing, and we're not quite there yet. But
The middle. Lord.
oh yeah. All right, let's hear about some actors, because this is what you tune into this show for, is an exhaustive list of people. So I found a website, behindthevoiceactors.com, which I've never encountered before.
Oh, I'm afraid during the strike you're not allowed to speak about actors' work.
Oh, I guess Jimmy needs to go to bed sooner. So-
Well, all right. Okay, that's it, everybody.
No, you're not an actor. You can do whatever you want. You're not in the guild. You do what you want.
Okay, I am not. I don't pay dues. I don't get paid for my voice acting. And I certainly don't get paid by earsup-podcast.com. All right, so we've got, let's start with the cast here. We've got Nemo, who is played by Anthony DeMarco, who played the nephew in The Prestige in 2006, the movie The Prestige. In the movie, he was played by Alexander Gould. He's just a kid who recorded a voice.
You know who else was in The Prestige?
Hugh Jackman.
Yes, huge Jackman was also, and so is David Bowie. By the way, since I made the huge Jackman joke, I just want to say I've been such a good boy. You have said porthole so many times. I have not giggled.
He has
I
not
have
giggled
not
at
made
all.
Any
everybody.
jokes? I've been giggling on the inside constantly.
David Bowie played Nikola Tesla in
Yeah.
said film.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
a
yeah.
good movie. Go see it.
It was a great movie. I loved it. I still have a ticket for that movie in one of my jackets.
Oh, you should use it and watch it.
Spoilers. He was the clock the whole time.
Oh no.
What? I have 2 tickets for the Marvels on Friday, and the person I bought the other ticket for can't go.
Is it Dan
I'm
or is it
wondering what to
me?
Well, it's either one of you if you want to fly out here. He had a conflict, and it's
Absolutely.
at 4:00 on a Friday, and
Oh, Eastern time?
I think-
That's too early. Yeah.
I think I'm going to go by myself.
I'd have to
sadly.
leave work at like 9 a.m.
Anyway, continue with your list.
Anyway, Marlin.
You should bring a
Nemo's
mannequin
dad.
with you.
What's that?
Just be like, you should bring a mannequin with you, so it's not weird.
There you go. Can you get on the tollway in the
Yeah, with the carpool lane.
carpool lane?
I'm way more tickled by that joke than I should be.
Should be just sitting next to a mannequin.
So it's not weird.
Right. Obviously. That's not weird. Well, in the original movie, Finding Nemo, some guy named Albert Brooks played Marlin. But in the attraction and in so many other things, Jess Harnell played Marlin. Jess
Oh, that
Harnell.
guy.
is a very prolific voice actor. He played Wacko Warner in the Animaniacs, Crash Bandicoot in those games where Crash Bandicoot was a Crash Bandicoot. Scuttle the Seagull in that new Once Upon a Studio short, the one that everybody was crying about a few weeks ago. It was pretty good. I didn't cry, but it was pretty good.
You're talking about the people crying that Walt Disney had slightly darker skin than they feel like that he should have.
That was it. Yes, he was too tan.
Because I know some people were crying about that, and those people got made fun of.
Well, he also played Roger Rabbit in the Disney Sing-Along Songs VHS cassettes, if you remember those. He also played Roger Rabbit in Mickey's Starland show, which ran in Mickey's Starland for the few years that was open in the Magic Kingdom. That was 1990 to 1996. We'll have to find a way to shoehorn that into this show at some point.
He also played the Wicked Witch of the West in several productions of The Wizard of Oz in Upland, California.
Ooh, I'm into that.
True story.
And also true story, he was many voices in Splash Mountain. R.I.P. Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, Mr. Bluebird, The Singing Geese, Brer Terrapin, Brer Porcupine, Boot Hill Boy 1 and 2, that was the vultures with the top hats, and the gators with straw hats. None of this is
every
racist
character
at all. And that's just Harnell. All right, moving
also
on to...
friends with Provost.
Oh, really?
Ooh.
We got to hang out with Provost.
Another reason to get him on.
All right. In my next trip to the parks, where I accidentally booked the trips on a different set of days than I initially intended.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun for the three of us to hang out with Chris Provost, mainly because for at least the first 20 minutes, we wouldn't know how to feel about it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, is he going to do the thing, or is he? Are you a regular person? What's going to happen?
Are you doing the voice?
Is that real?
Yeah, let's all do the voice. Yeah,
because I'm okay. I'm okay with that if that's real, but I don't think it is. But maybe it is. Like,
I'd hang out with Chris, and I've met some of the other folks. Yeah, whatever. Dory, not played by Ellen somebody, played in this attraction by Jennifer Hale. Again, so many voices in movies, shows, and video games. She was Ayla Sakura, the Twi'lek, or Twi'lek, if you like to pronounce it that way, in Rise of Skywalker. She was Cinderella in Wreck-It Ralph 2, and recent video games and shows like Sophia the First. This is all Cinderella. Disney sing-along songs, and she was Cinderella in Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, soon to be on Scraping the Vault.
Coming up soon.
Can't wait. She was in a ton of Marvel cartoons, and there we go. That is Jennifer Hale. Crush, the turtle, has classically been portrayed by Andrew Stanton, the director of the movie. He apparently recorded all of his dialogue for the movie laying down on a couch in his office. So somebody put a boom over his face while he did his laid back surfer dude voice. Squirt, Crush's little baby turtle boy.
Joel Osment.
No, Nicholas Bird.
Same, pretty close.
Who did the voice in the movie also. He's the son of Brad Bird, who is another great Pixar director. Nicholas was also the voice of Jack in The Incredibles, and the little kid on the tricycle who was so excited to see The Incredibles in action in the neighborhood. The one who's like, that was great at the end of the movie.
That was totally awesome!
Right.
So the family member of the Disney person so far is the only person who has done both the movie and the attraction.
And Andrew Stanton, also the director.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just the child. Bruce was voiced by Barry Humphries in the movie and the attraction. He's an Australian comedian and actor, and he was the classic character Dame Edna. if you know who Dame Edna is, please send Dan an email, dan@earsup-podcast.com.
I'll write the email for you right now.
Well, there you go.
Stop grooming my children with your Disney rights.
Oh, no. Chum, the other shark, not Anchor, the third shark, who is played by, oh, no, I didn't write him down.
I think that's fine.
Okay. Who was Anchor? He wasn't in the ride, so we don't have to talk about him. But Chum was played by Bruce Spence, who played the same character in the movie. He's a New Zealand actor. He has not a lot of voiceover credits, but he was Tion Medon in Star Wars Episode 3, one of those alien folks who met Obi-Wan Kenobi on that planet toward the end of the movie, where he found it's the tall guy who's got like the stripes on his face, the white face with the black stripes.
The big neck Galaxy Eye people?
What's that?
The big neck Galaxy Eye people?
No, not them. Not them. Right. That was from Attack of the Clones. Yeah. Oh no, I'm blanking on what their names were. The Kaminoans. Yeah, that was them. Oh, Dan's watching a butterfly. Or a fly, or a wasp.
It's a mosquito.
Or a mosquito.
Anchor was played by Eric Bana. Also,
Eric Bana. There we go.
Bruce Banner,
right?
The Incredible Hulk.
That's Bana,
in the good Banner. One. Tad was played by Austin Carini, played by Jordy Ranft in the movie. Tad is one of the kid fish. He has one voiceover credit, and it's Tad. Pearl was played by Erica Jones, played by Erica Beck in the movie, another small child playing a kid thing. This is the tiny octopus. She has a few additional cast credits in Pixar movies. The chicken fish is played by Catherine Ringgold, who appeared in Finding Dory, but first in the ride. So this is a character that was originated in the ride that then appeared in the sequel. She's a Pixar employee in the editorial department who hops in for occasional voice work. Peach the starfish, played by Allison Janney, who was very low on this list. Allison Janney, one of the most famous people in this movie. She played the starfish in the movies as well. She has not done a lot of voiceover work. She was in the new DuckTales series. And she, in her most iconic voiceover role ever, the Kaiser Permanente commercials for a few years. Also, she was Ellie Sansan in Star Tours The Adventure Continues. Bye-bye. That's her.
Every time I hear that name, a part of me dies.
Allison Janney or Kaiser Permanente?
No, the name of the robot thing.
Ellie Sansan?
Yeah. Named
after Allison Janney?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is not the first time this has come up in these shows.
Sure not.
The seagulls were outside of the attraction were also voiced by Andrew Stanton, the director, who is also Andrew Stanton in my notes. There we go. Boring stuff. No height requirement on this attraction. It's an Omnimover. They don't care. There's a Genie Plus Lightning Lane available, but if you need this is a very busy day at Epcot.
Yeah.
The attraction.
By the way, Judge, everything Eric just said about the voices, true for me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally.
Except Allison Janney.
Hold on, Eric. Eric, don't listen for a little bit.
All right, hang on.
Jimmy.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, Jimmy, but I was not paying attention to that part. So
I figured as much. Okay. So that's why I just made it easy. Everything he said is true for me too.
Great. Cool.
Point negated.
I hate you both. I
know you did.
I know so damn long looking up these names.
I wasn't gonna say anything so until Jimmy set up what I thought was a really good joke. I mean, it's true, but it's still a good joke.
There are 3 listeners who will enjoy what I just read to them,
and that's great. I encourage that.
Like and subscribe. Go to our Patreon.
Yeah.
Eric,
no
if I were
complaints.
not a part of this show and it wasn't so late, I too would and will enjoy that part of it. I love that stuff. You know that.
Sure. Whatever.
When I listen back to this, I'll be like, ooh, that's interesting.
And
Oh,
I mean, let's be honest. When Jimmy talked to me about being on this show all those years ago, I was like, oh, I think I understand why my voice is important here. It's for this reason. Yeah. Our core listener base, they're going to love that crap. I'm here for the people who don't. And that's fine.
Supreme.
Both of you.
write down the timestamp.
I already wrote down the timestamp.
It takes before
waited
you
until I
said
wrote
it.
down the timestamp before I said it.
It takes all kinds. I love that. Truly, I love that you did that. But about 30 seconds in, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I felt the same way, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Good job, Eric.
thanks for interacting with me as a human being.
And, that joke was a callback to what I said before earlier. When you edit the episode, you'll see the connection. I was being a dick, but I was being a dick with a purpose.
Great.
Again, that's why I'm here.
I love your purposeful dick. A few more.
And I love yours.
Thank you. A few more boring facts. This attraction is located in World Nature, along with the land. Because that's what we call this area now. And we need to keep promoting this so people learn the worlds in Epcot, because this is very important. I already talked about the Clamobiles opening up in the middle. They don't like go down. They
That would be
Open up in the
great
middle.
if they like did if they close the way an actual clam closes,
smush you in the middle.
and then you watch a video the whole time.
That would be good.
And as we mentioned
And then
earlier,
you get out and there's a pearl.
there we go. Oh. As we mentioned earlier, there's a little bit of controversy about the attraction right now because the seagulls aren't there at the moment because they're being refurbished. Inside the Magic did a whole stupid thing on it. 14 paragraphs until they got the sentence, until they approached the sentence. Now, another Pixar film is being scrubbed from Disney.
Oh God!
boy.
Then a few paragraphs about the attraction that were
Honestly, if those seagulls are the thing that makes the attraction for you, go somewhere else.
yeah.
Hell.
Go
Just-
watch Puppet Show. Or
just
something.
bad stuff. But they based all of this off of a tweet by somebody. And part of their argument was that the seagulls are gone and they've painted the roof of the attraction copper. And the tweet that they posted was a comparison, was a humorous comparison between the seas and Mission Space, where somebody said, this is basically the same show, but the same like attraction building out in front.
That's dumb.
And
I think they're making it look more like the original.
right. I'm guessing some sort of AI or some sort of person who's not attentive looked at it and said, oh, they painted the seas copper. Oh no, they're obviously removing the Finding Nemo stuff from it. But yeah, they did get a click out of me because I had to read the whole thing. And
That's all they need. It's all that matters.
There we go. Blog Mickey, another site that's a little bit questionable, but also sometimes useful, had a picture of the wires for the seagulls covered up with a plastic bag tied up with a rubber band, which I thought was pretty great. Like they removed the seagulls for refurbishment, clearly, and the wires are still there. Like it's not a big deal. Anyway.
We gotta get in that clickbaity garbage. We gotta
do.
start cashing in on that.
All right. Let's start.
Did you hear there's a theme park closing at Disney World?
Oh yeah. Oh wait, Jimmy, what?
A whole
Yeah.
theme park closing at
A
Walt
whole
Disney
theme
World.
theme
closing.
park?
At
That's
Disney,
right.
you say?
They do
At
have
Disney.
so many. I guess that would make sense. But I mean, what about the magic and all the magical experiences that?
Well,
my
you know,
family
Disney
can-
creates magical experiences for people.
They do.
And sometimes they just need to close.
What are they? They're just closing. I know they're just closing out of spite, and they're closing because it's part of their woke agenda.
Yeah,
No,
it's because Ron DeSantis told them they had to.
Oh my God. No, I mean, we need to start making clickbait.
We don't want to just tell stories that are actually true. Folks, every year, one of the water parks close for refurbishment during the winter when it's
Like it does
cold.
every year.
Eric's COVID is kicking in.
All right, let's get this. I got a heart out. Let's go.
All right.
Land
okay.
impact.
Land impact.
Ooh.
Where are we at with points?
We got any points here?
We got the sea with Nemo and his friends is ahead 1 point.
Okay.
We're looking at 7 to 8.
Impact our
all right.
lands there, Jimmy.
So Dan, you'd mentioned about the space, and the thing that I like about Tomorrowland in that specific, and we've talked about it in the past, that specific kinetic energy of the submarines moving, the monorail going by, formerly the People Mover, the Tomorrowland, the Utopia, all of that is all this kinetic energy. The problem is it's all one structure.
Yeah.
The monorail, the People Mover, the Utopia, and the subs are all one superstructure. So you get rid of one, you get rid of all.
And for listeners who are like the most nerdy version of us listening to this, we understand they are not literally the same thing, but they are so interwoven that they may as well be.
Well, but that the pylons of the monorail and the extension of the Utopia are on top of the submarine show building.
Fair,
right. No,
yeah.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that like, and what you're doing now is what they are doing, but in reverse. I'm just making it clear. We understand that they are not literally the same thing, but your point still completely stands.
So, the Tomorrowland problem of it all, right? That none of it makes sense anymore to be in Tomorrowland. You get on the thing and you're in Australia. But as far as Disneyland's Tomorrowland, it's hard to not picture that without the submarine voyage. So,
not in disagreement, but I'm going to add to this in a way that seems like taking away. It's about the lagoon.
100%. You're absolutely right.
And you need
In
to
the
have
lagoon.
something in the lagoon that's moving,
That's moving.
unless it's just a water feature. Otherwise.
And of
Right,
course,
right.
the Mine Andrew Stanton birds.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, I mean, I get that's an appeal. I don't love it, but I'm not. Again, it's not negative. It's just you're not gonna really get a lot.
Yeah,
from
I'm not
that.
trying to convince you of it. I guess because I brought it up before is part of the queue, and then I changed it to the land impact.
And it works better as part of the land, I think.
Agreed. So I didn't make any notes about this, like I mentioned in the chat, because I don't know that I have a true opinion about it. And again, when we're talking about lands, because the lands at Epcot in World Nature are inside of buildings, it's hard to have this Omnimover impact the land unless you can't access the land without this ride, which is not the case.
Huh. Yeah, I mean...
Now, you can access Tomorrowland without this ride. So maybe that negates itself?
And you can access the seas without going on the ride.
That's what I'm saying.
You can get in without it, but the general way to access the land, as you're walking up to it, you see that wonderful rock thing.
The reef with the water,
the
with
reef
the waves.
with the water that splashes up on it.
Eric, before you even get there, I think I'm going to get there for you. You can get into this.
talking.
You can get into the Seas Pavilion without going on this ride, but you have to know where you're going.
Right.
So if we're talking about the Seas with Nemo and Friends as a land, which is reasonable, right? 90-something% of the people are not going to access the Seas with Nemo and Friends without going on this ride.
Correct.
I
That's
feel
fair.
like the Nemo and Friends ride, I didn't think that was going to come out coherently, but it happened. It's more the land impacting the ride in a way. And
Is it?
didn't that... Didn't that wave thing exist before Nemo?
Yes, the wave thing did exist before, and then they added in the seagulls.
The seagulls, yeah.
And they added in more like kind of mid-mod images of characters from Finding Nemo
Fish
on the
and
front
whatnot,
of the building. Yeah.
The mural.
Right.
So I think just to finish my thesis statement here is that as an impact of the land, more people are going to go on the ride to access the land, whereas in Tomorrowland, you don't need to go on that ride to access the land. And in fact, most people don't go on the ride because it's prohibitive. I will say again, it does it better. The submarines do the whole experience better.
Pause if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about land impact in terms of like how it actually impacts everything around it. I don't care about the people. I don't care about the
Dan
people,
does not care about people.
It's not to me. Land impact isn't so much about whether or not people have an experience with whether or not people have. I would argue that in terms of land impact, a bunch of people have an experience with how the subs impact the land more than actually ride it, because it's this giant, it's a big thing of water, and it's a huge. I mean, visually, it's beautiful, especially at night.
True. Even during the day, it's nice blue
even
water.
During the day,
yeah.
but it's such a pleasant place to be, whether you are riding the subs or not. And that wouldn't exist if the subs weren't there.
That's fair. And then we could also extend the argument further to say that the land in Epcot is technically world nature. Right. So if we're talking about this ride impacting the land of world nature, then it has no impact.
Or very minimal
impact. It is a giant aquarium is nature.
But the aquarium is not the subject at hand, counselor.
But you see the aquarium. The reveal of the aquarium is a major portion of the ride. It's a little part of the beginning, and then it's the big reveal at the end is, wow, my cartoon friends are inside this giant aquarium filled with real fish and turtles and sharks and all that stuff.
I think
you already got a point for that.
I think the ride. By the way, if they were projecting fish onto a shark, it would be a clear winner. But I think with the seas, it's like, I get what you're saying, Jimmy, but whichever. It's not that it doesn't have any impact. It sort of enhances. It's like dipping your fries in ranch. You can still have your fries, but this is your dipping it in ranch. Or whatever.
Please
like, you know what I mean?
It's your example.
Yes,
Judge,
no,
Your Honor.
It's the ride works as a very good condiment for the land.
But I guess I'm arguing with myself here a little bit. But is the land?
We all are right now.
The seas with Nemo and Friends, or is the land world nature?
Well, let's. What does the guidebook say? What does the app say?
The land is
the
world
seas
nature.
with Nemo and Friends is
Okay.
located in world nature.
All right. So the way I answer that question remains whether it should be or not. We're going off of what the guide says, because they've decided that that's the case. So
I will confirm.
Okay, it's a very. I think, to be perfectly honest, the seas with Nemo and Friends, or rather just with Nemo and Friends, not the seas yet. So with Nemo and Friends.
It is now called the Seas. You're right. The pavilion.
But the ride is with Nemo and Friends.
Correct.
It has a lot to potentially. In terms of land impact, I can't say that the subs don't beat the seas for this. because that damn lagoon is such a big part of Tomorrowland and kind of
It is a pretty big draw.
Fantasyland. And it just
if you
just
consider
kind of
Matterhorn
makes
being a
that
Fantasyland,
area.
But look at the presentation of the entire pavilion, the Seas with Nemo and Friends. You've got this kinetic splash out front with the seagull friends that you know,
which existed before this overlay,
right? And there's
so did the lagoon.
There's a display off to the side with 3D. Fair. Like the puffer fish and several of the other fish from the movie. And then there's the kind of mid-mod, like half, like 2D display on the front of it. It's drawing you inside with your friends. It's telling you, this is a thing, and you don't know what's inside, but you can come inside and you'll find out.
But I have to actually go inside in order to experience any of that, except for the splash. That is correct. Effect.
So here's what I'm going to say. Eric, to your point. The same as the dancing fountains at the Imagination or the upside down waterfall of water falling up. Those things are also drawing you in because the Seas is in world nature. So if we're talking about the land as world nature,
let's just say Imagination is in World Celebration.
Let's not say that.
No, we've already said nature. That. We've already decided that.
Have we? Or have they?
No, it's in World Celebration, and it was brought up when I was arguing for the attraction a couple months ago.
I thought
confirmed.
It isn't. So
the only things in world nature are land, seas.
Okay. Also, let me say I don't care at this point. Like
I don't either, and I think I'm just trying to not give the subs a point because I just love that land impact so much. I'm actually really trying to be fair here.
I do love the look of the subs floating through.
I agree.
It does draw you in, and then you look at the line and you leave.
Yes, I personally believe that the impact of the submarine voyage to the land is greater than Seas with Nemo and Friends is to the land of world nature.
You can't see the ride. You don't know. Right. You don't know the ride exists unless you go inside. My nieces love it. We've been there times where they will ride the attraction, leave through the back door, come back out, ride the attraction again. But
so
I think
go ahead.
Subs 1 point.
All right, which gets us to a tie.
Yep.
So I think, and again, I try to be as objective as possible here. I said already that I think that the submarine voyage tells a better story, but that the amount of people who experience that on a daily basis and the amount of time it takes, I think we're talking about 900 people per hour at submarine voyage, and the load unload tedium and the 11 minutes on the ride. Now you could argue that 11 minutes I'm getting more bang for my buck, but it's 11 minutes because of how long it takes to get through everything. So you're the judge, obviously, but I think if we talk about throughput and more people being able to experience an attraction, that would give the leg up to the Seas.
More people being able to experience the attraction, and the attraction goes somewhere.
It does. You're right. You end in a different place than you begin. That's true. And you end in a whole new experience of stuff rather than where you started at the base of the monorail.
Right.
So to add to what you're saying, I think also, at least for me, for the Seas, it's like it gives you a reason to go to the place, and then it's like, oh, I'm here, I may as well check out some stuff.
Correct.
It's
more of a voyage. It's a good point.
Yeah.
And you got Turtle Talk in there, so it might be something that you're specifically going to.
So I think that you're right. It tells the story more better. I'm gonna stick with that. But the Seas, I think, does it in a more concise way that It isn't too long. It's less of an ordeal. And
That's fair.
ultimately, it feels more like a fun. It feels more fun mainly because it feels like less of a commitment.
Okay.
Where it's just like, hey, I'm going to do this cool thing. There have been times, honestly, and I think the last time I went, I was looking at the subs line, and it was like 10, 15 minutes, right? And I don't hate that ride really at all. I mean, I love Bobby Darin, so I love the ride.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And Kevin Spacey. You love Kevin Spacey too.
Yes, absolutely. And I was like, I really should go on this. It's like almost no wait, but I don't want to deal with the whole like going down, being a fat guy going down the stairs and then like pulling down the thing and being next to people and then them jumping on the hatch above. And like, I mean, there are parts of it that are charming, and it's like, it is definitely one of those things where it's like it's like when you crave Taco Bell or McDonald's, it's like nothing else will do. And same thing with the subs. It's like when you want to go on the subs, there's no substitute.
That nostalgia trigger flipped, and you're like, no, I gotta walk into a weird contraption.
Right. And it can be really exciting, but most of the time, and I'm doing that thing that we do very often, which is, okay, you have one right next to the other. Which one do you go on? Most of the time, 80% of the time, unless I'm like, I need the subs in my life right now, which does happen, but not all the time because of the ordeal, I would just go on Nemo. I mean, the other one, the Seas.
Eric is typing messages in a messenger to a group that is not this group. I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that.
That's
how much he's checked out of this.
Hey, you checked out when I talked for 20 minutes. I'm allowed to check out while you two are arguing for me. Why do I need to talk? You two are taking care of it. I don't care.
Yeah, it's weird because I almost feel like I know I'm being as objective as possible because I want the subs to win. But after everything that we've said, I think the Seas is the winner.
I think it's better. You got
overall, like we've discussed, it's just
it's better.
Overall,
it's more
better
fantastic. The way that the projections show up in an aquarium filled with fish, I think for me,
I'll give you that.
That right there is some of that Disney magic where you go, whoa.
Yeah.
My friends are inside of a real aquarium, and it's a giant aquarium.
And everybody loves original IP. They got that with the song.
It's better, but with the caveat that if you want to go on a submarine ride, there's only one that you can go on.
And that's
fair.
I have nostalgia for the submarines, but that said, I loved 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and going on the submarine ride at Disneyland, I've done it twice. I don't know. It's a long wait for something that's not as much fun.
And even if it shouldn't exist in a lot of ways on paper, please don't get rid of it.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right.
No, keep it. It's weird.
So with all of those qualifiers, I feel very comfortable saying the Seas wins.
Congratulations.
The deluge.
Oh, and bring back the Living Seas.
Yeah. If they had that technology in the Living Seas, game over.
Totally. Yep.
Get off your Clamobile and then take a hydrolator down. And
no Clamobile, first of all.
No Clamobile. Okay.
Just a regular old.
In a weird box.
No mobile.
And
all right, Dan, well, take us home. That was great.
All right, let's see. We got other shows on the network. Other shows such as the aforementioned. Oh, before I do this, Jimmy, you have any concierge news?
Yeah, I've got a new one. I think I mentioned Bianca and the Reiki family on Scraping the Vault. I didn't mention it here. And they have another family coming from Oregon, planning their trip for December. There was still availability. I think I mentioned that. That wasn't this
I
show.
was scraping the vault.
Scraping the vault.
Pretty sure.
I've got a new one from Mexico, the Uribe family.
Mm-hmm.
And they were meeting tomorrow to plan a trip for early December, if you can believe it.
And if you would like to meet Jimmy tomorrow, you can call 856-OUR-EARS.
Yes.
And tomorrow.
Oh, and we have 2 new ones that I got.
Happens.
Well, hold on. They haven't called me back yet, but there are 2 new listeners that have. I'm not going to take much longer.
Eric,
Trinette.
I tuned this part out too.
I'm trying to find a good song for Jimmy, but I just closed all the windows. I didn't think we were gonna.
Trinette has reached out. She says she wants to go fall of 2025. That's a little far in advance for me.
Oh.
But anyway, yeah,
Not
people
a lot to
are
book.
listening. Thank you, listeners, and concierge 856 at the end.
Right. So other shows you can listen to on our network. Hold on. I almost forgot. These other shows are brought to you by an app. I think it's an app called Single Riders. Single Riders. It exists. It's a real thing. I'm going to move on. I really want to retire this bit. Anyway, yes. Wouldn't be... Yeah. Long story. Other shows that happen with us. You have Ears Up in Depth.
Recording now.
Ooh.
Right after we finish, yeah.
All right. In Depth is?
In Depth is, yes.
Oh, I can't wait. No further comment. Let's see. You got Milk Lemonade around the corner. Bent the Milk, also known as the Bent Milk Podcast. They talk about Star Wars stuff. And the people who talk about other Star Wars things, the Star Wars things known as Marvel, they are Puny Pod. And they are full-size humans. That's just a name. And let's see. You got concierge. Contact us. I'm Dan at earsup-podcast.com. Neither Jimmy and Eric know how to access their emails, and I don't really check mine. So go to the Facebook group, interact with us there. We're
Eric Pod D on Instagram or TSR East.
I need to get on TSR West a little bit more. That's all I got. That's shows. See you in the parks. Quarters, good to each other. Fresh baked. Quarters adjourned.
He said the magic words.
For the record, it's 10:02 p.m. I'm normally asleep, but I'm awake. Ooh, Trinette responded. Fall of 2025. Very expensive vacation here. They're going to DC, New York, and Boston.
Oh,
8 nights, 7 days in the parks. 6 days on Disney properties, 1 day at Universal, single gate. Oh, that's a mistake. Got to see all of Harry Potter.
All
single day tickets. Let's pick my brain more on what.
all the Potter.
Oh, are we still recording?
Nah.